This is so bizarre. Ford just put out a press release, and the media bought it, that they are the second largest EV manufacturer in the US. Now, GM, they didn't argue. They didn't even realize that they actually overtook Ford. In Ford's Q3 2022 report, it claims that it's now the second largest EV manufacturer in North America. That's actually false. General Motors just caught up and passed them, and nobody even noticed. So strange. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel on the Electric Viking. Great to see you. Welcome to all the new subscribers, and welcome back everyone else. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting the channel, and thank you for subscribing. It's wonderful to have you here, and it's fascinating to see the way the media just, I don't know, they're clueless. They don't know what's going on. They don't know that none of them are aware of the fact that Tesla's going to make $1.4 billion this year for doing nothing. Seriously, you can't make this stuff up. However, let's get to this EV race going on in the US. Now, Hyundai, Kia seem to be doing pretty well, but their deliveries have just crashed over the last few months in the United States. I don't know what's going on with them. Ford and General Motors are picking up the slack, so of course is Tesla. But Ford just claimed in their Q3 report that they have the second largest market share of electric vehicles in the US, but actually, I think that's false. Ford just revealed that in September they delivered 4,600 electric cars. However, for the entire third quarter, General Motors delivered a new record in electric vehicle sales results for the company in the US. After the history of the EV1, you probably know about the EV1 if you don't. What happened was GM sold the EV1. A lot of people loved the car. And then General Motors forced everyone who bought the car to sell it back to General Motors, and they crushed them all. Now, there's a few in museums around the world, but that's it. Anyway, after that, and years of struggling, they seem to have finally picked things up. I reported on the fact that they delivered 27 electric cars in the fourth quarter. That's over the course of 3 months, right? October, November, December, 27 EVs in the United States. And that was about the time when Joe Biden and Mary Barra claimed that GM was leading the world in electrification. Well, at the time, it was just a laughing stock. I laughed about it. You guys laughed about it. Everyone laughed about it because it was funny. I mean, you can't take that stuff seriously. If you do, you just be ripping your hair out and scratching your head and thinking, what is going on? These people are mental. You had to laugh, right? You had to laugh. But now, finally, GM are actually ramping up production, and no one really realized what just happened. I mean, GM just outsold Ford pretty handily. They're really actually taking a lead now. And I think General Motors is taking electrification more seriously than Ford are. Find it hard to believe I'm saying that, but it does look like it's happening. I mean, for example, GM is saying they're all in on EVs. 2035, no more gas cars. Ford are not saying that. Ford are saying, in fact, very different things lately. In Q3 of 2022, GM's brands, Cadillac, Chevrolet, and GMC delivered a total of 15,156 EVs in the US. Now, yes, it's a minuscule number in comparison to Tesla, but for GM, this is good. That's 236% more than a year ago, and a new quarterly record for them. That's also 2.7% of the company's total volume. Now, Ford's total volume, they're about the same. Around 2.5% of their total volume are EVs. So there's a long way to go for these guys, for Ford and GM, but they're on the way. GM's electric vehicle sales in Q3, 36 Cadillacs, all of which have been recalled, I believe, Cadillac Lyric. Check out my video on that. Chevrolet, Bolt and Bolt EUV, 14,709. In other words, basically, General Motors delivered more Bolts and Bolt EUVs than Ford did all of their electric vehicles combined, including the Mustang Mach-E, the Ford F-150 electric pickup truck, and of course the Ford electric transit van. GMC Hummer EVs, 411 of those were delivered. Now, did you know they actually weigh more than 9,000 pounds? That's crazy. I mean, they're epic. They're pretty cool. I wouldn't mind owning one, but 9,000 pounds, that's heavy. For reference, General Motors' total sales volume in the US during the third quarter was pretty good, actually. It was 555,580, an increase of 24%. And that gives General Motors a total of 1.65 million vehicle deliveries in the US so far this year, which is down 7.1% year to date, which is still better than Toyota, who are down more than that, Honda, who are down like 36%, Ford, who are down more. So yeah, GM's actually having a decent year. And in particular, this quarter was actually pretty amazing. And Ford's claims that they beat GM when in fact General Motors beat them really seem quite strange that Ford didn't do their homework, because frankly, they should be egg on their face, but the media haven't even picked it up. The media didn't even notice. They're all just like, they think they know everything about EVs, but the truth is they spend 1 minute of their day actually paying attention to what's going on. So they don't even recognize when things like this happen, which is a pretty momentous occasion. This is pretty big. It's big news that Ford actually now is losing to General Motors when it comes to EV production, because I actually think this might be it. It might be it. GM might actually outproduce Ford for the next, I don't know, forever in terms of their EV production. Because if you think about it, where do Ford make the Mach-E? They make it in Mexico, and it's not going to qualify for EV incentives in the future. That's going to be a big drawback on Ford's production of that vehicle. Eventually, they're going to have to go, well, okay, we need to make them in the US. That factory will make Mach-E's there that will sell in Mexico or South America. Maybe they'll do that. I don't know. So far this year, GM has delivered 22,830 plug-in vehicles in the US. That's down 8% year over year, and 1.4% of GM volume. So you can see the first half of the year was disgraceful for General Motors, frankly. They delivered very few EVs in the first quarter, very few EVs second quarter. The third quarter, big increase. Things are starting to really happen. I mean, they also opened their battery factory in Ohio. That's big time. That's big news. And they started producing major amounts of EV parts in another factory, which is really important because, I mean, the majority of General Motors EV parts are made by Hyundai. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, which is kind of a joke. The American media should report on stuff like that. They're too busy reporting on what Elon Musk is tweeting, and who cares? I mean, focus on the stuff that really matters. That's what I think. But anyway, clickbait, clickbait, clickbait. There they go again. In other words, there's a lot for GM to do still. They've got a lot to work on. I mean, to be fair though, their factory was shut down for 8 months that built the Bolt and the Bolt EUV. Now that it's open, things are really starting to speed up. And now GM is saying they have so much demand for the Bolt EV and the Bolt EUV because of the price. It's so cheap. I've been telling you guys, buy it. It's a really good deal. I know a lot of you don't like General Motors, but hey, it's such a good deal that I just think, well, heck, don't worry about it. Just get one if you can. If you're in the US, they don't sell them in Australia, unfortunately, or New Zealand, or most of the world, pretty much just the US. But so much demand for that car that GM is saying they're ramping up. Now, I don't think they can ramp up too far because they don't make any money on them. There's no way they make even a single dollar. I believe they make a pretty significant loss on them. It's a loss leader. How many can they ramp up, and still keep going that way? I don't think they can do it too much. But GM say that after delivering 15,000 of these over the last quarter in the US, they expect another record quarter in Q4 and a total of 44,000 vehicles in 2022. That would mean that they've only produced so far 22,000 in 2022 because, of course, the majority of those were made over the last 3 months. Therefore, they're saying they're going to deliver 22,000 in the third quarter. Now, I don't see how Ford can match that. I mean, that's 22,000 in 3 months, plus whatever Cadillac Lyrics they produce, plus whatever GMC Hummer EVs they produce. And who knows, maybe they'll pull out the other 14 electric cars they said they'd have during October and just magically they'll surface as well. I doubt it. If you wonder what I'm talking about, I'll put a link in the description below. GM said that they'd have 18 different electric vehicle models available in October of this year. Didn't happen, of course. That was just fanciful. That was like a Cybertruck boat. But anyway, the point here is clearly GM are going to beat Ford in the fourth quarter of this year. If they produce their 22,000 Bolt EVs and EUVs, which it seems likely they will considering they did 15,000 over the past 3 months. However, GM is saying they're going to go from 44,000 this year to more than 70,000 in 2023 of the Bolt EUV and the Bolt EV. But it seems like their production numbers will go down next year versus what they'll be in the third quarter of this year. So I'm a bit baffled by that because, I mean, if they're producing 22,000 over the next 3 months, and that puts about a production run rate of 88,000 per year already. So why would they only sell 70,000 next year if their run rate is actually 88,000 in the fourth quarter of this year? Those numbers, those maths are not adding up. The marketing department or whoever makes these numbers up, they should maybe do some research on that because they're saying they're going to actually increase production next year. But actually, they'll be decreasing production on what they're saying they'll deliver in the fourth quarter of this year. So Anyway, if I can work this stuff out, people at GM who are getting paid way more than I am, they should be able to work this stuff out better than me. Now, when I say way more than I am, they are literally GM's executives. Have you seen what they make? They make insane amounts of money. There's like 15 people at General Motors, all making more than $10 million a year. It's crazy. I think it's crazy anyway, because frankly, in my opinion, if only 2.7% of your vehicles are electric cars, and Mary Barra said GM's executives are getting paid on their electric vehicle performance, then why are they getting paid so much money? Where's it coming from? Anyway, that's a rhetorical question. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. General Motors just overtook Ford. No one mentioned it. Didn't even realize it happened. I don't know if GM even realized it happened, because why are they not saying anything? GM should be saying it. Ford thinks that they beat GM when actually that didn't happen. GM beat Ford. Very interesting to see. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.